Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DVJ. And thank you very much for just sticking with me as we delve into yet another series of books. We're going to play this out to the end of the week, where again we take a look into the randomization, the use of random tables and random elements. I've said this many times that number tables are basically bullet points, a shorthand for world building. And we're going to take a look at Cities Without Number by Kevin Crawford. Um, this is, with my collection, the third installment from Kevin Crawford. Of course, there's Worlds Without Number and Stars Without Number. Let's throw those up on the screen here. Stars Without Number, and we also have ourselves Worlds Without Number. We're going to take a look at these and look at the mechanisms that Kevin Crawford has put together in these thick tomes. But first, let's get through the intro. Yeah, welcome one and all. Thank you very much for being part of the channel, and if you're brand new, please take a look at our archives. There's a lot of material. Um, so, Worlds Without Number, um, the Without Number series. This is Cities Without Number, Worlds Without Number, Stars Without Number. Is a it's a pretty decent hack of D20 system, and this game series isn't necessarily about isn't necessarily about the game system in terms of the dice and whatnot, but it is about the mechanisms that are available to us to build our own without number worlds. And this is Cities Without Number. It is absolutely positively cyberpunk in all of its cyberpunky glory. And I can do a couple of page flips, but we're going to take a look at the PDF, and we've got ourselves our little cup of dice, and we're going to build ourselves a cyberpunk world. But to add to that, one of the features that I think that comes with randomization when it comes to tables and why it has returned back into the fold of the community is that by picking and choosing, because it's a tool, you get to use it any way you want, or having the randomization available means that even if you're not prepped and the players make a left turn, it's it still is possible for you on the fly, maybe with a little bio break or whatnot, to continue the game, and knowing that the randomization that is in the game, the tables, the charts, or what have you, still allow you to keep the same thematic elements that you need to run the game. No, it is cyberpunk. If we take a look at the Cities Without Number, you gotta have that little bit. If we take a look at our intro here, um, very much cyberpunk, right? The world is neon and dust. There is nothing more than the flesh. There is nothing greater than the wires. There is nothing to dream that is not sold, and nothing to worship that is not made. It is a mirror shade world of human reflections, every red hunger and every black passion worshipped in the cathedrals of glass and greed. The great love that their sins like children, and the least want only to be great. It's made out of people. Yeah, Soylent Green Part 2. They said they changed the formula, but I don't think they did. Uh, oh man, you guys are so funny. By the way, Drew, I'm going to show you something that is a third element when it comes to the hero's journey and the heroine's labyrinth. I think there's a third one that back of the napkin. I want to show you. So yeah, yeah, Soylent Green Part 2. They changed the flavor, but it's still made with the same old. Anyway, we're going to take a look at Cities Without Number. Cyberpunk uh, had its huge heyday in the 80s, and um, Kevin Crawford's foundation is allows us to create those things. And mind you, sometimes we get into a situation where we it's like we know what we want, but in order to make differentiations with what we want, it can be a little bit it can be a little bit unnerving, if that makes sense. And follow me on this one. So um yeah. Yeah, man in a can. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Yeah, right. It's made out of people. Mm-mm-mm. We forget back in the 60s and 70s, there were a lot of these like movies based on warnings from the day the earth stood still all the way to uh, I mean, there's man, my brain is filled with many of these things. The day the earth stood still, Soylent Green, Planet of the Apes, and so many more. Logan's Run. You got my curiosity about that third wait. I expect me to wait. It's just okay. Well, I'll don't worry. It's it's there, or maybe halfway through. Maybe I won't make you wait that long. Now that I feel like I'm hurting your feelings. Okay, so here we have the cover of Cities Without Number, and I do have my. I didn't do this prior to this moment. I tend to be this. I tend to do it by the seat of the pants. But we're going to go to backgrounds for characters, and I think sometimes when we, oops, here we go. I think sometimes when we choose to use many of these games, the character creation portion tends to be up front, and we as creators, as the world builders, can use the character creation system to make to fill in the gaps of our world. And sometimes I don't think it's pointed out, but it's a pretty good tool. So an example would be if you have a game that has like backgrounds or careers, vocations, classes, personality traits, random equipment, or whatever for players, that's just great stuff for us to use as world builders. And right here we have a D20 table of backgrounds for player characters, and of course we can use these backgrounds. Uh, we can use the backgrounds to roll on the tables. I rolled a one and got a bum. Great, right? And in this game, yes, you can pick. Yes, your character can have a background of a bum or a bureaucrat, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the features is that there is a random table. Um, Shadow Dark isn't the first game, although it is a very popular fantasy emulator that has random leveling up and growth for player characters. This game has it as well, and it does say that you can pick two, or you get the roll three times on either the growth or learning table. In other words, hey, if you want some randomization and some chaos for your character creation and moving up in the world, you get the roll in these tables. So I think that's a good trade-off. Uh, those that are fans of the OSR we love ourselves some random tables and even random growth. I know some players in today's tabletop experiences would consider that to be blasphemy to randomly roll your character or randomly roll their growth, their level advancement, if you want to call it leveling. This game doesn't have it, but yeah. Hey, you get to pick two, or if you want, you can randomly roll for three. And I think that's kind of cool. And again, here we have character background for clergy. Uh, why not use the character creation system to make up your own NPCs? But we don't need to even do that. Uh, I gotta go through this real quick because the only way to get through this, I think, is 18. Is it page 18? There we go. Contacts. If we get to the section, talks about contacts and you know, pretty good advice here. Um, give them a name, give them a sentence or a physical description, give them a sentence describing what they do that might be useful to the operator. That's the player characters, and write a line or two about how you met them. Uh, a lot. To me, it's a lot about wants and needs. But again, D20 tables about example contacts, started a relationship. Let's see. A security officer working for a specific corporation and started a relationship. Let's move down a little bit. Convinced you're a luck a good luck charm. That's kind of cute. I like that. And of course, you know, we have our one roll contact tables, and I like these. These are fun because it uses our classic 6 dice, D4 through D20, and you get to roll them. Let's pull this one out. One roll contact table, and under D4, how well do you know them? You've known them since you were young. Okay, grew up together. Let's see. On the D12, we got ourselves a 6. A fixer sent you to them for help before. So not only is this person from your background, but one of your contact. I mean, your fixer, the person that fixes your mission, sent you to them before. A D6. I rolled a 6. The general social circles or docs, techs, hackers, or other skilled professionals. Maybe they actually went to a school or something. On the D8, I rolled a 4. You got a problem person off their back. Maybe they had a debt or gang member or something like that. And the D20, I rolled an 18. And on the D10, rolled an 8. You shared an idealistic cause in the past, and uh, they sell you specialized or unique programs. Kind of cool. All right. So again, random tables. These are bullet points. These are quick. I mean, heck, you could just on the fly if you needed to. You could quickly peruse some of these tables, but they're also useful for prep. And with a cyberpunk game, yes, overall we're just like gritty streets. It's always raining. There's neon lights, but you got to figure out like navigating a cyberpunk world. It's like okay, everybody can't be exactly the same, and that's where we have ourselves some of our best practices in this book. And move on. I'll get to you what you guys have to say in just a minute. Is it 112? Cyberpunk themes. There we go. Let's go. Sorry, trying to pull up your comments. There we are. Oh man, those movies were so far superior to anything in the last 20 years. I agree with you. The Soylent Green, Planet of the Apes movies, they were like a warning, kind of, to us about like everything from overpopulation and nuclear proliferation and whatnot. Yeah, they're pretty. Charlton Heston was of course, major actor at that time. I still remember Soylent Green and the trash trucks driving through the streets and using the trash dumpsters, literally having to scoop people out the streets and put them in a dumpster in the back. It was pretty funny. And King, what's going on? Yep, idiots want to remake them with computer effects. I don't think there's anything wrong with CGI. I think it's just the improper. It's just a horrible use of it too many times. Not only that, but there's a lot of computer programmers that don't get paid enough to do what they do. Ooh, in a new place, and now you're on at 3 in the morning. What the hell? Well, thank you for very much for stopping by, but go to sleep. Uh, mm, 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 mm. Crazy. You guys are. I appreciate that, but wow. Okay, okay. Thank you. So, anyway, 3 in the morning. Whew, and I thought I was crazy. Cyberpunk themes. So, uh, Kevin Crawford does a great job in breaking down the themes of cyberpunk and allowing us this. Of course, this isn't a random table, but is to keep these things in mind. And of course, like any world builder, we can take these dials and turn them up and down based on physical location where the players are at, and then what's appropriate for our gaming table and whatnot. So, for example, we have consumerism. Got to have some consumerism, right? Happiness consists of buying the right products, subscribing to the right services, and paying the right fees. If you're not happy, it's because you haven't bought the right things or paid attention to the right marketing campaigns. Um, Dehumanization. And a lot of times, these themes in cyberpunk, it's the main protagonists have noticed these things and are looking around the world and wondering why everyone else is their eyes aren't awakened. And yeah, it fits right into it. Dehumanization, alienation, despair. You know, many times, our main characters in these, especially in the books that were written by like Walter John Williams and William Gibson and um, uh, George Alec Effinger and so many others during the 80s and 90s, that they absolutely embraced all of these things. And it was they were a reflection of the time in the 80s, when we were worried about nuclear proliferation and the downfall of the Western world, and how third world countries would rise up, and that's where the technologies and politics was moving towards. And feudalism was growing, and mega corporations were growing and such at that time. Not that it's different, but it just so happens that there were novelists making these predictions, including the word cyberpunk, uh, and predicting the internet. Commoditization, of course, escapism are two more themes here. We also have madness and style. Yep, yep. Some people just can't live in this world but aren't ready to die. The result is insanity of some sort. Perhaps as a fanatical devotion to a fringe cause, or a hedonistic amorality dedicated only to immediate satisfaction, or clinging to some impossible belief or actually untrue conspiracy theory. Sounds recent. Of course, style. Hey, if you're going to go out, you got to go out in style. To be fashionable is to be a worthwhile human being. Those without style, without visible and artful control of their image, can clearly not be in control of anything else in their lives. Uh, Meat and treachery. I like how it's just titled meat. Um, it mentions that for all 80s style cyberpunk's dedication to VR avatars and digital hacking, most of the world operates on principles of tangible flesh. Robots are for industrial work, not daily labor, and automation is not something that touches common life for most people. Jobs are done by people, not apps. And for the criminal underclass that most PCs belong to, there's not much intrusion of the digital into their daily life. And I think what they're trying to say is it's about it's about the human being, and and the corruption of the flesh. It's the meat, right? It's the human beings that you see around you. It's not like Wally, where there's just automation and everything is done for you. No, no, no. A person's got to do it in some way, shape, or form. Treachery, usually because the corporations control everything. Urbanization, sex, violence, squalor. So those are thematic elements in and to think of those thematic elements when creating a cyberpunk world. Sure, it wasn't a random table, but again, having best practices is always a good thing. And then we get ourselves, let's see, plus four is 130, right? Yep. Um, and then we get ourselves a ton of random tables, right? And these random tables allow us to, whether it's for prep or on the fly, come up with differentiations between like mega corporations. Hey, there's a mega corporation. Well, what's the name of it? What do they do? Who works for them? Why? All that kind of stuff. So mega corporations, uh, and of course best practices, right? And you see throughout this book, it'll always say roll or pick a main focus, roll or pick, roll or pick, roll or pick. Um, I don't know why people need to be told that because it's your book. If you purchased it, you get to do whatever the hell you want with it. Um, yeah, there's no reason why you only need to roll and roll. I always make fun about people who fold their arms and stick out their bottom lip, and they're like, "This is stupid." And like, no, you can. It's a tool. Just use it for whatever you want. So, our random mega corporation is built on construction, and I'm going to roll again to get the general corporate style. It's a construction company that is decaying, blindly pursuing products and schemes that just aren't going to work. Kind of funny. All right. So sometimes the general corporate style, maybe for example, some of these, not only do you have the corporation and what they might be into, like cyberware, data brokering, medical, mining, heavy industry, etc., media, entertainment, agriculture, but also, are they rising up, going out? Are they too big for their own good? Um, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds like this one, hateful. As it seems to be largely designed to do horrible things to non-customers. uh, we've how many times have we been to businesses where you're just like, why are you still in business? This makes no sense. Yeah. Oh man. Yep. A lot of stuff. Rapacious, which I don't think I've ever seen the word written down. Uh, uh, but rapacious, always trying to gobble up and assimilate smaller competitors. Corporate takeover. Oh, always. Yep, yep. Even our last one, 20 Vicious, always preferring loudly overt bloodshed and violence when practical. All right, Suge Knight of the mega corporations. But anyway, I mean, these D20 tables go on, like whether there's a particular corporate strength, recent corporate events, um, corporate goals, and you can name an element and a corporate element, such as let's see, D20. Number 8, mythical figure or god. Let's pick a myth like Thor. Nah, let's go with Athena. And then corporate element. 7. Athena, and I've never known what that stands for. GmbH, capital G, lowercase mb, capital H. What does that even stand for? I know the limited LTD. I know incorporated. I know that Inc. But I never knew the Gimba, Gimba. Uh, but anyway, come up with some funky names and things like that. Um, Let me move back up here on this table. Sorry about that for creating these mega corporations, and then we'll quickly go through the other tables. What I like here I like this part of it was his recent corporate events. This keeps the world feeling like it's moving despite what the players do, right? So let's see, let's get ourselves a number of number 4. It has serious problems with the local government. So maybe the corporation and the government are at odds with each other. More likely than not, the corporation is probably more powerful, more um, influential than the local government itself, but whatever. And there's all kinds of other things on here, like it formed special ties with the government, or it spun off a major subsidiary corporation, or its CEO died or was forced out. Um, RoboCop. Its execs are trying to kill each other, or maybe somebody got blown away in the corporate headquarters because their their new police machine or something didn't realize that the person dropped the gun or whatever, and the person's like, "Oh, looks like we've got an opening." Hilarious. I love RoboCop. Look, so brutally tongue in cheek. I love RoboCop. But anyway, we have ourselves like gangs, and you can create gangs. Let's see, random gang 15. They're into organ legging. That's kind of cool. And what is their style? 14. Sadistic, preferring lingering pain and horror over quick violence. General gang, yep, main gang income and general gang style. Let's see what you guys have to say. Um, mm, mm, mm. You guys are funny. Yeah, not what they're talking about. The End King says, not what they're talking about, but meat can also override digital. Amazing how many smart locks and tech can be outwitted by magnets and paper clips. Yeah. What's the most common way to hackers can get into secure systems is through the people. Um, one of the most notorious ways to for hackers to corrupt or hack a system is to uh, uh, leave a random hard drive somewhere for one of the employees to pick it up, take it inside, and then plug it into a machine. Yeah, and I think that still works even till today, even though they know that still works today. So yeah. Videos I've seen about lockpicking make me want to play a non-cyborg in a cyberpunk setting. He just opens the door with a pen and a Lego man. Yeah. Why a Lego man? But it's funny, yeah. Rapacious sounds familiar. Heard it used, never knew what it meant. Sounds negative. Yeah. Rapacious. I, lo- I, I love languages. I love language itself. But anyway, we got ourselves gangs and all the stuff that goes with gangs, making up random gangs. I mean, listen, back in the 80s, most of the gangs in the movies and television shows we saw that were cyberpunk always were like those leftover it they were random pieces left over from other movies from like Conan, and like it was always like spiked leather, and somebody had like a fur jerkin on, and random what was it, like random chains and spikes and chrome and stuff. Yeah, always the S&M gear mixed in with like biker gear and stuff. But come on, we can get a little bit more creative than that, and so that's why I like these other things. Uh, Particular gang strengths, recent gang events, kind of cool. Mm-mm-mm. Current gang goals, and then the name of the gang. Let's come up with the name of the gang. So we've got 15 physical trait. Okay, mixed with physical trait, mixed with number 6, click. It's a physical trait. Hmm. Short click. I don't know. The beautiful click. I don't like that name. I think you could have got a little more specific. Fashion item plus scarf. Fashion item plus ring. The scarf ring? Hmm. I don't know. The 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 blazer ring. The t-shirt horde. I don't know. Religious figure and gang. Important date and mob. I don't know. I guess you could say something. Important date could be like January, or it could be like direction could be the north. Animal could be tiger. The Tiger Boys. The let's see, what's a violent action? The Smack Pack. I don't know. I think you could have gotten a little bit more specific with that, but it's still fun. And mind you, it's a multi-table, right? You can keep rolling on it over and over and over again, getting different results. But anyway, we've got creating NPCs. Again, pick a role, pick a role, pick a role. Whether the NPCs, what's the main NPC strength? Um, again, this is used for prep or used on the fly. Uh, Notable NPC virtues or qualities, NPC flaws, current NPC problems and desires. Got to have those wants and needs, which actually brings me to wanting to show off something else. And then we have running missions. But allow me to show thee uh, something else. Share this tab instead. So this is hey, this is for you, Drew. This is for you. Yeah, the Black Sabers. Thank you. You remember that because you know I was going to bring it up. You knew I was. It says get through the meat. You ever hear about that real life hacker who would show up in person and pretend to be some company technician who needed to work on some system and everybody fell for it? You know what? A work vest, a clipboard, and an attitude that you're in my way, I need to get this thing done gets you in so many places. I guarantee it does. I You get a work hat and a if you don't get out my way, you're the next person responsible for this thing. I guarantee you that probably works more often than a little bit. Yep. Yeah. 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 I definitely let me leave this comment up here. Hey, Pete Giant. Read a story online where two guys stole a TV out of a display window by showing up to the store in uniforms with a dolly. Employees undid the alarm for them. Yep. Hey, that's how the what was it? There was a someone stole hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of magic cards out of the warehouse. They were arriving to a con, and two people showed up and basically acted like, "Oh, we're responsible for this," and literally just rolled it out the back door. Yeah, that happens a lot. I bet that happens more than a little bit. Yep, show up in uniforms. Yep, cleaning uniforms, things like that. Kevin Mitnick was his name, once the most notorious hacker in the world. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, not sure. Okay, so we're going to segue slightly from here. Um, thank you very much for letting me think about this, Drew. So we have the hero's journey and the heroine's labyrinth. Hero's journey. The hero goes outside their world to go slay the dragon. Right. That's we're talking literary fiction, not literary fiction, but literary. What's the word? Outline of a story, and then there's the heroine's labyrinth, which is from uh, Gentleman, Doug Burton. We've done that on this show before, but I was like, well, what about introspection? So there are stories where the hero goes out to confront things outside their home. They're drawn out of their home and they go outside. And then the heroine's labyrinth is returning back home and uncovering drama within their home. But what about internally? So I was like, I wonder if there is one. So here's the back of the napkin. So what I what I thought was, um, and I did it in 12 steps because the hero's journey and the heroine's labyrinth I did in 12 steps. Not did, but it kind of exists in 12 steps. So I was like, what if you could break this down? So our main character has wants and needs, and I put needs with a print in with a question mark because they may not know what they need. Think Wolverine, right? Wolverine usually wants to be left alone. Wolverine needs a family, right? Usually characters want something and they profess to want this thing, but they need something else. So you start out with their wants and needs, and in some way, shape, or form, we know what our character wants. Then we have our assembly, our circle. Those are usually the people that they, because of their wants and needs, our main character um, impacts the lives of the people around them, whether they want to or not. The barriers to getting what they want or need. So the barrier to Wolverine wants to leave. What is it that's holding him back? Is it does he not have transportation? Um, are the police after him? The authorities? Is it one last favor someone has asked of him? He's got a barrier. Look, leave me alone. You know. take a look at the movie Logan, and that's exactly about the wants and needs. Um, the character gets their wants, but not their needs. For the most part, that usually is what happens. They get what they want, but they don't get what they need, and then they have a realization that at some point that they've gotten what they want, and they're like, "This isn't really what I wanted. What's going on?" And they have a realization, an awakening, maybe about it. This part isn't very doesn't take a long time in a novel or a TV show or a movie. It's about 30 seconds. Like, oh, I can't believe I did this. Um, then they're awakened to their needs over their wants. Um, and then they admit this to themselves and others, question mark. Sometimes they admit it to themselves and they go about fixing it. Sometimes there's an actual conversation that happens about admitting that they have a need in them and they admit it to the other characters. Um, then in our story, we have defects are removed or dominated. So whatever it was that they wanted, they somehow like placate that part. They either push it down or get rid of it. It could be temporary, but for the most part, they like, okay, needs over wants, right? They surrender to their needs. They try to make amends to the people that they've uh, make amends, whether they committed a crime or something like that. They reunite. It reunites with the assembly or the circle, and then apotheosis. Apotheosis is the transformation of the character. The character is no longer who they used to be, or at a minimum, temporarily in the story, like Wolverine, he's like, oh, now I've got my X-Men, I'm with the family until something else happens, and then his wants start dominating again, and we tell the story over and over again. But anyway, sorry, like I said, back of the napkin kind of thing. About literary introspection. Like, if you tell a story about the introspection of a character, what is that like? Okay, you made me do it, Drew. I'm going back. Yeah, I know. I was being sarcastic. Yeah, if Wolverine has no transportation, he could simply take Cyclops' motorcycle. He's always taking Cyclops' shit, including, dare I say, his his woman. That's horrible to say that, but it is kind of like teenage stuff like that. All right, yeah, it was always that way, which is kind of funny because Wolverine was always a short dude, short and hairy. I I get that there's supposed to be animal attraction with Wolverine, but in if you were online today and Wolverine was like going through dating apps and stuff, he'd never get any play. A short, overweight dude, Wolverine technically is overweight. He's not pudgy. It's just that his metallic bones and his thick body is, I don't know, what's he, probably like 300 plus pounds or something like that. Oh man, yeah. Was he 5'2"? He'd never get any play. Okay, creating and running missions. I love the segue. You gotta have your missions, right? And there's some pretty good advice here about creating missions. So of course, it tells you what is a mission, um, and the role of missions in cyberpunk. So of course, it's the party's job to take the missions. It's the GM's job to create missions the PCs would actually take. So if the PCs aren't assassins or thieves, why send them on missions to assassinate or steal things, right? And then, sorry, I know I'm popping up and down here, but it's, whatever. So you'll see what schemes are. But anyway, it says create at least 5 schemes related to 5 different groups in a team starting district. Create a mission hook related to each scheme. For your very first game session, create a simple 1-session introductory mission. That's always a good thing. Start your, if you're introducing a new game, start out with do a one and done to see if your players like it. Let the players choose, and during the downtime for the next play, turn the mission hook they choose into a full-fledged mission, et cetera, et cetera. So, of course, we have to have random tables, right? Creating schemes. It suggests here schemes exist at 3 different levels: district, city, and region. And there's like local plots, city schemes, and an entire world. And those are basically uh, the idea of schemes here is, I've mentioned this before. If the players don't move, the world should move them. It's basically like um, it's described as a simply a plot, plan, ambition, or organized goal for a particular faction in a district, city, or nation. If the group manages to hit the necessary milestones in the scheme, their grand plot will come to fruition and something good for them will happen. Schemes may be obvious to outside observers, or they might be hidden plots that can't be fully understood without careful infiltration and spycraft. It's the thing that changes the world. And I think sometimes we as world builders make static worlds, and in this cyberpunk cities without number, as suggested, is basically have things keep changing and plots happening and the play and throw the players into those plots. So we've got like milestones and things like that, but we got to get into our random tables. So scheme goals, and there's some examples, but of course we have to have a D20 table. And what does our D20 tell us? God darn it. It tells us 11, create a product. So, on a local level, maybe there's a gang trying to create a new drug, or maybe they're trying to sell some kind of VR or whatever. Um, a and that might be district size, and then city size, creating a product. Maybe the city is so dirty they're trying to figure out a way to clean it up, or like in RoboCop, they're trying to create an automated uh, police force and sell it. OCP is trying to sell it to the local police force. And hell, who's to say that the player characters haven't committed some crimes? And now the mega corporation is willing to sell this new uh, robot police force to the law enforcement. And now the PCs are like, man, they have robot cops. They're pretty damn powerful. You know, this could be a thing that could be growing in the game. Anyway, so D20 table, and it goes on to describe many of those things, whether it's like form an alliance to make a product. Like the plot means to overcome the difficulties in creating a revolutionary new product, be it a high tech drone, new street drug. Mentioned that, right? Um, irresistible. I mean, irresistible new religious cult or manufactured music group. Particular industrial secrets, marketing ties, or rival products might need to be sorted out to successfully launch the product. And it goes into describing all the description of those. But then we have scheme milestones, like resource related milestones, NPC related milestones, business related milestones. And milestones are in here are like clocks in Blades in the Dark. So if the players don't do anything, or this is something happening in the background, when that milestone is reached, these milestones may the thing that they're trying to do may come to fruition and change your world. Uh, NPC operator teams. So of course, if the player characters are on missions, there's going to be other NPC mission types, and so yeah, anything like what's it? Number two, the team prefers to employ noxious gases, poisons, and pharmaceuticals, perhaps including illicit combat drugs, and that might be a clue to which NPC team is on what particular mission if the players discover certain things. And then of course we have I love these brick tables because it you have so many different options by rolling on them. It's a D20 table, and you can just read it straight across or roll on it multiple times to come up with something. Like, for example, if we go with number 8, a combatant with lethal fists, um, a hacker with a large set of programs, a tech with amazing first aid skills, or a face with assassination talents, right? And we all know these archetypes, right? The combatant, the hacker, the tech, the face, and those are the people that are in the group that make up the NPC group that the players might be going against. And then, of course, we have to go who and is currently, right? So who is a secret corporate mole, or who is wooing a very unsuitable romantic partner, or something like that. Yeah. And of course, you could apply that to the whole group or just individuals. Um, NPC scheme results, such as like adding or subtracting the numbers. And like I said, like clocks, it's the same thing for milestones and whatnot. Unfortunate consequences, they failed because of whatever reasoning. Um, and here's an example of building a plot and hook. But we're going to even go past that. What page are we on? Do we want to go to mission tags? Uh, yeah, we'll go to mission tags. 148. All right, so uh, like I said, man, my brain is not working. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Um, uh, Kevin Crawford does this thing about EFCTP for tags, and it stands for enemies, friends, complications. What's the T stand? Things and places. So EFCTP, enemies, friends, complications, things, and places. And of course, we got mission tags. Whatever the tag is, you can add to it. But if you take a look at this, and again, like I said, this is a game that gives you the chunks you need to make what you little building blocks and whatnot. So, for example, we've got an abandoned town. There's the first one, abandoned town, and for our E, we have crazed. These are crazed gang boss in the ruins, brutal scavenger chief, monster spawns at the wreckage. For F, we've got desperate local who refuses to leave. Uh, for C, we have the place is still in the process of abandonment, or the cause of abandonment is still an active hazard. For T, we have precious things lost in a downfall, or tech or resource that could revive the town. And lastly, we have a desolate public gathering place, or a building smashed by the cause of the ruin and whatnot. EFT, enemies, friends. Shit, I already forgot it. Sorry. Yeah, enemies, friends, complications, things, and places. Woo. And there's a bunch of these, right? So we've got like abandoned town, accidental knowledge, just to jumpstart the brain, angry demagogue or armed revolutionaries, bad cyber, beleaguered locals, and it goes on and on and on. Biological weapons, big hitter, breakthrough tech, bureaucratic errors, etc., etc. Mm-mm. The End King says Logan is low tech cyberpunk. His skeleton and his spurs are all over cyberpunk and Shadowrun. They sure are. That's pretty funny, but yeah, you're absolutely right. You, good question there. Technically, we are not allowed. So I'm 3 years away from retirement, and I will have myself a buttload of uniforms. We are not allowed to throw those uniforms away. Our union usually takes those uniforms, and the good uniforms, people who listen, if you're going to retire, we wash our uniforms, but they basically take the good uniforms that are still serviceable, and new employees can like pick through them to find some uniform pieces for them. The rest of them are destroyed. We're not allowed to give them away because people could walk into places simply by having a postal uniform on. So a rule is that we're supposed to destroy those uniform pieces, but we usually just give them to the union, and the union destroys them on their own. Yep. Mm-mm. Logan is Kavorka, man. He'd never even bother with a dating app. I know. I was just being being an asshole. I said that. Drew says, interesting model you have there. I have many of these things in my RPE system. I just call them differently. Should put more of these things on my Discord. Yeah, I like I said, it was a back of the napkin. I thought in my head because I was like, if you are a playwright and you're writing a story about a character overcoming an addiction, that's not a hero's journey and it's not necessarily a heroine's labyrinth. So what is it? So that's what I did. Isn't it good not to be too tall in many hand-to-hand combat situations? Also, is this thing about having to be as tall as possible seen on dating apps really true? It seems to have spread throughout the internet. I don't know if it's that true, but it seems to be something where like if you do simple searches, that women are obsessed with men that have to be well above 6 feet, no matter how tall they are, and it's just a thing. It's like, yeah, yeah, yep, exactly. I'm with you, N King. Yeah, it's distorted truth. The problem is people who believe in the distortion, so that's just what's making it worse. Yeah, about this stream is about Logan doinking. Yeah, I know, I know. Uh, the plot scheme of the city is all about the guy in the yellow spandex. Yeah. Oh man, I think it's probably been done. The only this is weird to say. Um, so it's commonly known technically that if you do something postal, it's a federal crime. But the dumb thing is that they don't charge federal. I don't know why they don't charge people with federal crimes for committing federal for acts against the postal service anymore. I don't know why that disappeared, but that the the myth is that if you commit a crime against the postal service, like stealing a uniform or doing things like that, it is committing a federal crime. So, yep, yep, yep. Yeah, the manosphere is obsessed with height, telling guys they are at a horrible disadvantage if they're under 6 feet. Yep, 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 yep. It's a whole manosphere dating thing and whatnot, and it's a very weird uh what do you call it? It's it's a perception makes reality thing. So if enough loud voices say a thing and then enough people internalize it, then it becomes a thing, which is just like, why is that a thing? And then I understand someone's specifically, let's say, a young lady saying, I would like my heterosexual partner to be taller than me. That's one thing. But to specifically be more 6 feet or taller is pretty ridiculous if you're like 5'4", right? And I think that's pretty bizarre. When I hear stuff like that, I'm just like, you're ridiculous. You don't deserve if that's your criteria, you don't really deserve anybody. I, I hopefully what'll happen is human beings will breed out those people and life will go on with us regular folks. That's pretty much probably what's going to happen. I mean, if you really think about it, right? Um, the whole manosphere, um, men hating women, women hating men. That's good for the rest of us because those people are going to breed themselves out of existence. Oh man. But anyway, I'm as you can tell, I'm paging through a bunch of these prompts, right? Um, like story prompt. You want to use something. You find Genius Hacker, and you're like, man, I'd really like to use the Genius Hacker prompt. What are some stories I can tell? And then you read this, and it breaks down like, okay, so there's a true prodigy of hacking involved in a mission, someone with a remarkable talent for code or virtual mayhem. And then down here we've got enemies, mercenary hacking prodigy, or ruthless handler of hopeless or a ruthless handler of a hopeless dependent genius. How many times have we seen that before, right? And then there's a sympathetic prodigy. Down on C, the hacker is extremely capable in combat. or the hacker is exceedingly elusive in reality. Uh, Down for things. The hacker's prized custom deck, right? That could be an element in there. A backdoor key code to that, a backdoor key code into the hacker's code, or there's maybe a precious pay data the hacker swiped. And then we have lastly a dark and grimy neat lair or underground code vendor shop or entertainment venue favored by the hacker for places. Right? Maybe I'm not describing it very well, but you get the point. But anyway, we're going to go past all this. There's a lot of these here, by the way, if you hadn't guessed. Um, Story prompts, basically mission prompts. Um, Maybe you hadn't thought about a religious zealot in your cyberpunk to make a cyberpunk mission, but now that you see this, then there's a bunch of prompts here for enemies, friends, complications, uh, enemies, friends, complications, things, and places. And too many to list. It, but we want to get to mission types, and of course, we got random tables for mission types. Everything from defense, espionage, murder, rescue, retrieval, sabotage, scouting, smuggling, theft. The funny thing is, I've never really run too many assassination style missions or adventures of any type, from fantasy to modern to sci-fi, but tons of like rescue, retrieval, sabotaging, smuggling, theft. I've done a lot of that kind of stuff. Espionage, stealing secrets. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Defense, even protecting a person, place, or thing. Definitely protecting people and things. Got to have the proto Asian, you know, big city with a katana. You got to have that. You got to have that. But anyway, there are defense missions, and you get to roll some dice. And let's see. How afraid is the target? Let's see. They're afraid, excessively confident about the risks. Okay, that's usually different. What needs to be defended in the first place? How about number two? A very important piece of equipment. Mm, why can't they do it themselves? Is D6 here. Their usual defenders are not available. Maybe they're on another mission or something. And what are some other knick-knack things we can throw into here? What kind of patron put up the job? Where's my D8? A number 8. A business owner foreseeing trouble. Okay. A twist to the situation. Where's a twist? Number 13. The PCs are actually guarding a decoy. That's kind of cool. Yeah, Mad Max Rockatansky or whatever his name is supposed to be. Number 9. What made them fearful? They unearthed a recent failed scheme. Kind of cool, right? And mind you, again, these are all prompts. These are all prep methods and whatnot. But yeah, cities without number. We got espionage, murder missions. These are one pagers, by the way. So if you get to the page and you flip it open, everything that you need is right there on the page. I love layouts like that because you can just easily bookmark them and find it and be done with it. And again, classic D6 dice, a D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, D20, and you got yourself a rescue mission. And mix and match them and retrieval, blah 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 blah. Goes on and on and on. And lastly, is that the last part? Yep. Yep, yep, yep. So we're going to go back to the cover. Cities without number. uh, so, guys, thank you very much for letting me share this with you. I do have the other two books. We'll take a look at those as well. But really, I mean, really, the random tables and the prompts and all that kind of stuff, my reasoning for wanting to let me get to what you guys have to say, by the way. You're so funny. Yeah, I think it was Rock. I think it's Rockatansky. Oh man, uh, you're so funny. Um, the reason why I like these prompts is because sometimes we just aren't that creative at that moment, right? Hell, if you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning, your creativity level might not be at its highest level, and we could use some help. And, do we want to do our Google foo at the time? No, we want to use the game and use the game to help influence what we're doing. And so using these for our prep, I think, is a very good idea. Also, it keeps us thematically in line with what we're trying to create. So if I'm a jokester and I tend to do a lot of like ridiculous things in my game, and my players are like, dude, we just want like a serious game where we take everything serious. I might not be that creative because I might always keep going to like ridiculous NPC names and ridiculous NPC goals, and I'm like, oh, I keep going down this comedic pathway. Well, if I have a robust enough prompts, I can always come up with something different. And let's be honest, if you play with the same group, at a certain point, we can each predict what the other person is going to do, right? Like, so if I constantly, if more often than not, I'm always implementing like, there's a gang member, there's another gang. Hey, session number 6. Hey, it's about another gang. Then guess what? Guess what session 7 is going to be? My players are going to roll their eyes and go, it's a gang, right? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know? And so to break ourselves out of our own monotony and our own comfort zone, a lot of times these random tables and prompts can kickstart the brain and go, oh shit, yeah, 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 this is a better idea. Yeah, N King says, well, assassination missions aren't very heroic. Even if you're fighting always evil orcs, it doesn't feel right hiding in the bushes with a rifle. I agree with you. Hell, even how many times have we even seen stories where like um the heroes have the opportunity to assassinate someone and they refuse to do so because, through ethics and morality, they're just like, this isn't even right. It's the whole concept of going back in time and killing someone that's a child because they're going to grow up to be this dangerous person. Yep. um his postal fraud just no. Yeah, you talk about postal fraud. No, I'm not saying people aren't charged. I'm saying they're not charged with federal crimes. Their postal crimes are happening all the time, but they're usually charged locally. Um, the reason why you don't see like a lot of like postal vehicles stolen and uniforms stolen and people, espionage kind of things happening is because those people know that, or they think that they're going to be charged with a federal crime, but most postal crimes are not charged federally, which is wild. Yeah, if a guy has pull, he's got pull, and if he's outside the norm, he creates a new norm. Yeah, that's what the internet's for, right? The Elephant Man had pull, and he had to wear a bag over his giant head. Yeah. Yep. 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 Yeah. Maybe I am protecting myself. I don't know. I don't know. YouTube. Listen, I'm well in the corner. I'm well in the corner of the interwebs. I don't even think YouTube even bothers paying attention to me anymore. Mofa says, I love KC stuff. His next game should be post-apoc Mad Max type of setting. I agree with you. This now, mind you, this book isn't. Let me switch this off here. Switch over. So this book isn't as thick as his normal shit. Let me see. Worlds Without Number, right? Um, Great. And like I said, he this game isn't designed like, oh, this is exactly how you should play it. It's more like, you know what? Here's a bunch of prompts. Here's how you might want to play it, and here's my camera acting the fuck up again. Damn it. Anyway, but you get the point, right? Kevin Crawford stuff is excellent. I suggested that if you are someone that's into at least the three releases that I have: Cities Without Number, um, Worlds Without Cities Without Number, Worlds Without Number, which is the fantasy version of it, and Stars Without Number. I suggest picking it up. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there is a free. You know what? I'm gonna find this out. There's a free version of this. Let's see, free cities without number by um Drive Through RPG free cities without number version. Here we go. Copy. So and paste. Wow, really? Really? Wow. I didn't know that. I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The algos, the algo demons, the algorithms really like start snatching at us, right? Like if we say or do things, but but in defense of the interwebs, uh we're playing in other people's backyards. Even though we think that it belongs to us, it doesn't. Reddit, YouTube, Twitch, uh WhatsApp, Snapchat, I don't care what place you're on, having certain Discord, doesn't matter. Um Having your discussions and such, all of those things belong to other people, other entities, and they get to say, right? You don't get to do what you want in my house. And the same goes for these platforms. And so, yes, there's in in many of these platforms, but but you know, the problem, we don't like to admit it, but for more often than a little bit, we human beings are the problem, which is why you get rules and things like that, right? So, yeah, yeah, I thought they would never care about this. Eddie Murphy skit from SNL, yanked three times, warnings for an original skit. Now that's the see now you're bringing up a different point though, because and I'm not saying you're wrong. You're absolutely right. I don't understand how some people get away with it and others don't, right? Like if you have a rule, the rule should be applied to everybody equally, which I have zero problem with. But when the rule that's like having, I agree with you, right? Like, um, there are channels that do reactions to like music and videos and things. The music and video can say something, the original content can say something that the reviewer can't, even though it's said in, like you said, the clip is still up, but if you put the clip up, you're wrong because it's like you're promote air quotes promoting it, even though the clip is up for all people to see, right? Yeah. I don't like that. Like I'd rather, I mean, if you're gonna have certain words or phrases or actions or beliefs or something edited, then it should be edited across the board, not, you know, again, the algo demons, right? So because we all know that the algo always defaults to the corporate interests and shareholders, and that's why the biggest channels in the world can get away with a lot of things, until they get too big for their britches, and then they just shut them down, and then the next category comes up with millions of subscribers and things like that. Yeah, it's a cycle, but I think sometimes we don't realize, like, we don't own these platforms, and we never have and never will. So we can bitch and moan, but guess what? We're on somebody else's property. And yes, they can be unreasonable and unfair and all. Yeah, but guess what? We're still on somebody else's property. So we have to abide by that. Tomorrow we'll do Stars Without Number, and then Worlds Without Number. We'll focus on something a bit different. I just wanted to do an introduction to Cities Without Number, which if you're someone that's into like cyberpunk and you really want something, but you kind of want it to be your own, then I would suggest getting this game. Hmm. Hmm. Have a bunch. You know what? I've seen things like that before too, where you where someone is either joking or they are referencing a real historical event, or um, they are speaking as someone from a particular era, or they're reading from a book or a an article or something verbatim, and it isn't flagged. Whereas if somebody is you know what I mean, like, yeah, I agree with you. I think there are algorithms that can kind of tell, or whether the algorithm is getting smarter. But yeah, I don't know I I don't know. I I think our biggest problem is that the algorithms, they can turn the dials of the algorithms without our knowledge, and that's bad. If someone tells you there's a rule up front, I have zero problem with that. If you change the rules while I'm already in your house, I do have a problem with that without warning, right? That's like walking to someone's house and you've been there for 3 hours, and the person goes, "Oh, by the way, I expected you to bring snacks," and you're like, "Well, you told me not to bring snacks before." And like, "Yeah, well, I changed my mind." It's like, well, wait a minute. Hey, Shinobi. Uh, well, shalom and good morning. The Without Number series is fantastic. I agree with you. Um, yeah, we're doing Cities Without Number today. We'll do Stars Without Number tomorrow. We'll do Stars Without Number tomorrow, and then we'll end it off with Worlds Without Number at the end. And by the way, here's a slight here's a slight good reason for wanting to go into like Worlds Without Number and these other places. If you don't want to give money, if you like D20 systems and you don't want to give money to Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro, find one of these games and play those, right? It's just you got you got your dice, you got your classic six or maybe seven classic six dice, and you love your D20, but you don't want to play those games and you want to create your own fantasy world or something like that. Find out Worlds Without Number. We'll do that Friday. Tomorrow we'll get into Stars Without Number, science, more far absolute science fiction. Yeah. Oh no, no, dude, I hear you. Um, it's, I mean, if you take a look at all if you listen to enough urbanized music, you're going to hear that a lot. You're going to hear it a lot, and when in conversational, it'll come across that way too. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I agree with you. I like I said, I would rather have a rule established and they abide by it rather than having it rather than having the algorithm maybe designed so that it ignores context, because it doesn't. Ashes Without Number, that'd be kind of cool. Did you know that he's going to be working on a post-apocalyptic version called Ashes Without Number? I did not know that. I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't know that. I'm gonna look that up. Ashes Without Number. Okay. Um. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see if we can find this. Uh, Kevin. I'm not finding anything recent. RPG. Okay, here we go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's go here and share this. Ashes Without Number. This is crossplanes.com. Uh, Even though my current interest in the OSR has waned a bit, I still really appreciate the work that Kevin Crawford has um, down or must have been done with Stars Without Number, Worlds Without Number, and Cities Without Number. Ashes Without Number starts crowdfunding in July and is an update and expansion to Other Dust, a game about post-apocalyptic worlds and the struggle to survive. If you dig Gamma World, Mutant Future Planet of the Apes, Mad Max, Furious, Rifts, and Zombie Dead Worlds, this game has you covered. He's posted a character creation section, and like CWN classes are ditched for edges and includes rules for mutations. Huh. Why haven't I? Okay. All right. I'm going to look more into it. Uh, cool. Kevin is Substack. Yeah. Yeah. How can you count the ashes? That's cool. Okay. I'm gonna find out. He's probably doing some. I mean, the books are chunky. It's a lot of words, right? You're talking like 200,000, 300,000 words and whatnot, and breaking down a genre. It's a little difficult. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for spending your valuable time over here on this corner of the heavily monitored interwebs. I really appreciate it. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Have a great one. I'll talk to you. Peace and tranquility. Bye.